The iOS configuration file. The iOS is the most robust and powerful network operating system in the industry, but without the expertise to manipulate its configuration files, it's nothing more than potential. A CCNA is required to have a high degree of competence in editing and copying these files. In this nugget, we're going to start out by looking at the access path to get to the configuration mode of the iOS. Then we will identify the two types of configuration commands and learn how to navigate in the configuration mode. Once we're comfortable changing the configuration parameters, we're going to define the two configuration file types and learn how to copy both of them and erase one of them. Let's get started. Alright, the first thing we're going to do, if you recall from an earlier nugget, we talked about the different levels within the iOS, and they were exec levels. And what we had was, we had a user exec level, and this is what you run into as soon as you log into the router. And then, once we typed in the enable command, we moved into what was known as the privileged exec level. Alright, once we're here, this is where we can go in a lateral move into the configuration mode. And how we do that is, we type in the command, configure, and then there's going to be a space here, terminal. We're going to configure from our terminal. Once we do that, we are in the configuration mode and ready and empowered to make changes. Now, as we're going along this line, the router is going to give you some help in the prompt to let you know where you're at. When you first log into the user exec mode, you're going to get a prompt that has the host name of the router, whatever it may be. In most cases, for our nuggets, it's going to be R1, R2, R3, and so on. So let's say R1, and then this sign here lets you know that you're in the user exec mode. Once you type the enable command, provide the correct password, you move into the privileged exec mode. And that's going to be indicated with this prompt. Again, the same host name with the number sign. Okay? Once you administer this command, configure terminal, now you're going to be in host name, config inside the brackets, and that same number sign. This tells you that you're ready to configure your router. In this CCNA series, you're not only going to get the information you need in a practical format and on a whiteboard, you're also going to be able to see, in most cases, it applied in a real-world scenario. With that in mind, let's get into our router. I'm going to jump into a router here using COM1 off of my computer onto the console port as discussed in an earlier nugget. Now, once we're in there, you can see by the host name and this character that I am in the user exec mode. Now I'm going to move on up using the enable command and a password into the privileged exec mode. Now it's a lateral move using the command we talked about just a minute ago, configure from terminal. And there we have it. Now we have our host name, config, and then the number sign. Okay,